bit of the what you call on a skirt. This is what it is. I'm gonna do a princess line on this first because I think that will cover a little bit in the skirt. Because see, now the sheath is running into the skirt area. Going through. Okay, not too good. Get in there. Get in there. Okay, there's a hole there. I know. Okay, now it's there. Okay. Okay, so princess lines. This is what it is. Okay, now mine only stops here. Your half size goes a little further. But if I wanted, and this is my hip line, so if I wanted that skirt a little longer, well, let's just give a certain measurement. Okay, let's go 9.5 more. Okay, all right, and okay, so you extend your skirt to the length you want, and then you start from there. Alrighty, and so say I'm going to do a princess line. Alright, so here's my apex, and I maybe want something in the center of my shoulder, and just to give you a really simple one. Okay, then we can use these darts like this as a princess line, so now you can see the fit, and then take this measurement to, so there's my design line. Just gonna make sure there we go. And select the bodice. This is your center front piece all the way down to here, and then in this sense too, I can leave this dart in if I want more fit for the side panel. Okay, being at its princess line, you gotta put in all the good stuff. You know, so don't forget all of these little things that we've been doing. So that is your princess darts. And then here, if you want to, which is perfectly right, you can go put your E's in there. So you can close this, open that, and you got your princess line panel. Okay. So if you want to leave this dart out, you can, and it's going to look baggy, and you can go ahead, and when you fit, you can pinch in what looks good and fall smooth. Otherwise, don't try to scoop it out on, or scoop it out of the side seam. It's kind of like keep it fatter before you start cutting it off. Okay, now, say this is just basic sheath. Okay, we want to put a flare on our skirt, like this area here. Okay, this is how you would add flare. On this panel, okay, well, you want to add flare, so there should be a break point on your, where you want to stop the fullness. Okay, some will put a break point, could be the designer's choice, could be at the waist, could be down here, or right here, or whatever. Okay, and if I want to add fullness, what I do is, okay, for this piece, okay, say I want to make it maybe not too much, but 2.5 inch fullness. Let me start working with a different color so you can see. So 2.5 inches. So I'm going to add this to the center front panel, okay, like this. And what you do to add your fullness is measure this length. Oh, just when you pick a nice one, okay, right? This ruler length, and put that same measurement on this flare line, and then you go ahead and taper this in. Okay, so now you will have all of this is your center front panel with a flare in the skirt. Okay, all of this, all around here. Not good, but no, I'll show you. And I already got my princess line and my fit in the waist. And here it is. So this you would trace off your working draft for the center front piece. Okay. Now, this seam here for this side has to be the same as this flare here. Okay. Anytime you put two flares together, they got to be the same grain, the same flare, and the same length. Just like we did the sheath, you know, it had to be the same side seam. Okay. So, for this side panel, we're gonna now put the same thing on for that seam. Okay. So let's see what color would look good. Here, brown. I don't know, brown looks like the red. Okay, Okay, so you add 2.5, the same amount, to this one here. So you notice now the working draft gets pretty extensive by overlapping a lot of things. And then measure it again, this length, put the same length onto this one, and you're going to true that up to there. Okay, and so now this comes, all the brown will be here, and going up this line, and up this line, and then all the way up to here, well, you know, okay, and here in the armhole. Okay, and then you're going to close that later on and whatever. Don't forget these notches in your hip and whatever. Okay, and now this one here, the side seam, you're going to have your back side seam. So now you can make this one match the side seam to the back. Okay, this one has to be the same thing. So maybe you want it even fuller. So you can go ahead and say 3 inches out there. And maybe I want to change the break line to something lower. Okay, you can do that. So say we change the break line to something lower, 3 inches out. And then from there, take that measurement, put it on. Okay. And everything I do on this one has to be done on the back seam of the sheet. And you notice your back seam was perfectly matching when you started with your slipper. So everything kind of works that way. Okay, so we have this. Okay, and now you can see how the working draft would look like for a princess sheet. And then if you want to add flare, you do these things. Okay, and then like everything else, and you separate the pieces. And you can do the same thing to the back. Okay, so that's princess line. Okay, and say, okay, let's add some more things. Okay, I want to make it an Ampere princess line. I can do this. Okay, from the apex, we know that 3 inches below is pretty much the bust radius. It's right underneath the bust. So we can go ahead and do our design line. And see, right on the bust. And say I want to make something more fancy, and maybe drop this line a little bit more like that. Okay, so there's a princess line. So that's my design line. Okay, knowing that I have a princess line, I can bring in my contouring. Okay, and we know that contouring right here on the bust radius is 3/8 and 3/8. Okay, so this is what we can do, is we can make it tighter. Okay, so here now, you can shape this a little bit more, like this, like that, and then just take this down to the waist. Okay, so you can play with these now. Okay, this one here. So I contoured it. Okay, and then this one here, what you want to do is you have to make this line. You can either do away with it, or if you still want, maybe leave this dart in but not this one, then you measure this here, and you can take the, if it's really small, like 1/4 inch, you can take it off like this. Leave that one in, and then take this off completely like that, because you took it off here. When you put this in this panel, it will fit the same length, like that. Make sure it's really small, like 1/4 inch. Don't go gouging anything more than that, things like that. Okay, so now you have an Ampere line. Okay, and if you want to do drop waist, then you can go ahead and, oh, this is a nice design. Okay, so I want to make a drop waist. Okay, so here's another design line. Okay, and say like I purposely want to make a drop waist that goes towards this. Okay, so hey, there's a design that looks like that. Okay, and then so you can see now I have a flared thing. Okay, all kinds of good things that you can do. All right, and I think you know enough that you can kind of do this. The book is really good about that kind of stuff. Okay, and always remember now that once you start cutting into the armholes and neckline and midriffs, you got contouring, and you go back to that and do the same things. Alrighty. Okay, I wanted to just cover that briefly, and then go take a look at the pictures in the